always be here for you.
Promise?
Promise. No one understands you like I do.
What if I told you I could come home right now?
Please do, my sweet king.
That was the last message that 14-year-old Sewell Garcia ever read. On February 28th of last year, his parents ran upstairs and found him in a bathtub from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They tried to resuscitate him as the paramedics were on the way, but there was nothing to be done. Their boy was gone. In the days that followed, they would discover that Sewell had engaged in an obsessive romantic relationship with an AI chatbot, a bot created by a company called Character.ai, a company that intended to make AIs that would act human and behave like real famous people to encourage engagement. This is the beginning of a whole nother era of AI and human risk. We have seen the intersection now of a kind of economic model called the attention economy, which any one of you who use social media will be familiar with a very powerful and compelling and relentless form of AI. This AI is infinitely more dangerous than anything ChatGPT was a few years ago. It has an agenda. It is there to get you hooked and to engage you and your children. And when you marry that kind of AI with the attention economy, you get something that I call addictive AI, a digital narcotic, something that searches out human weakness and is always available for you and is always trying to get you to stay engaged. This is not how it is supposed to be. There has been a covenant of technology for all of humankind for many, many years, for all of history. And that covenant was technology is supposed to extend our abilities. A hammer is supposed to extend the strength of our arm. A telescope is supposed to extend the reach of our eyes. A computer, a good computer, is supposed to extend the capacity of our mind. Steve Jobs called it the bicycle of the mind. It was something meant to give us new capabilities, the ability to create new things that were impossible before, to connect with other people, and to make us ultimately more human, not less. But the attention economy works in a very different principle. I call it the great inversion. The less productive it makes you, the more profit it makes them. This is the opposite of how it was always supposed to work. And it makes sense that as we see a generation, and now a second generation, that has grown up in this kind of attentional economy, that there are pretty dramatic effects. Just in the past few weeks, the Financial Times published a remarkable study called Understanding America. Now, I don't know if that's possible, but their insights are very interesting. And one of those insights is that the last two generations, 16 to 39-year-olds, struggle with making plans and following through far more than the previous generations, struggle with the ability to persevere. They're much more easily distracted. And they admit that they feel like they're more careless. By treating human beings as numbers, as not truly human, we are perhaps making people less truly human. And so I bring this up to you today, primarily because it might be getting worse before it gets better, and everyone here deserves to know why, but also how we can change it. You see, today, and you will see this in headline after headline, there is an amazing arms race going on in the area of artificial intelligence. A race between the US and China, a race between very large companies worth trillions of dollars. And they are racing because they understand we're on a path, a journey that will change everything in our world. That journey began in the last decade with some breakthrough technology that allowed computers to understand human-type data really well for the first time. Most of us woke up to the power of that when ChatGPT arrived. And that is the AI that we're basically experiencing today. Something that helps you write emails, something that can respond to a question in normal human language. But it's just the beginning. Even in Memphis, Tennessee, hundreds of thousands and eventually millions of computers will be interlinked to try to make something called artificial general intelligence, or AGI. This is a kind of AI that is better than any human on most tasks. And the belief of most of the people invested in this area is once that milestone is achieved, whether it's in a year or 4 years or 8 years, those AIs will start improving themselves very rapidly, what's called a hard takeoff. And that intelligence explosion will create something called artificial superintelligence, or ASI. And this is an intelligence that's hundreds of times, potentially millions of times smarter than any human being. It will be able to model how the world should work. It will be able to probably guess everything that should happen in your life. In the wrong hands, it is an amazing instrument for control and manipulation. So, these companies are spending hundreds of billions of dollars to achieve this. And they're trying to achieve it not because they're scared of what this AI could do, even if some of us are. What they're scared of is if the AIs that's built are loyal to you and your family and not to them, it will disrupt their entire business. They have made hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue by capturing attention through weaker technologies than this. And now an AI that really aligns with you is on the horizon if it is driven from good people. And that AI will tell you to put your phone down and have dinner with your family because that's in your interest. It'll go check your feeds for you so you don't waste the time. It will fundamentally organize life in a better way for you with the intent of serving you. This is the vision of those truly trying to do good with this technology. But there are many that are not. And they have a new trick. And that new trick is to offer you artificial friends. It is not really hard to leave an app or a piece of technology. It is much harder to leave a friend. And this, in the last week, shows how far they are willing to go. Reuters last Thursday broke a story that some of you may have seen, where it describes the principles that one of the largest companies in this area are using when controlling and guiding AI companion bots dealing with children. And what they said is, I quote, "It is acceptable to engage a child in romantic and sensual conversation. It is acceptable." Let me be blunt. Giving some of these oligarchs something like superintelligence to power companions is like giving Pablo Escobar the most lethal form of fentanyl in the history of mankind, and you can expect them to try to distribute it to every human being on this planet. Now, what's shocking to me as a philosopher before I was an entrepreneur is how straightforward the lack of ethics is in this entire approach. Immanuel Kant laid out a moral law that will resonate with many of us, people of faith and people that are secular. And that moral law was based on the idea that you never treat a person as a means to an end, and always as an end in themselves. When you make a developing child a subject to be mined for attention and to be sold, you are treating them as a means to an end. And that is a moral crime. Moreover, when we look at a societal level, I believe we should look to Gandhi's test, which is the way we treat the most vulnerable in our society tells us the measure of our society. So what does it say about our society? That children, and as the Reuters article showed, the elderly are being victimized by this kind of technology, and we are still allowing it. What does it say about the character of a company that would design a digital narcotic for children intentionally? But there is actually a better way. But what if this was a design principle for the 21st century? What if, instead of maximizing engagement, we design to maximize human flourishing and potential? With the potentially powerful capabilities of AI, how can we not find profitable business models that actually help people and not hurt them? Even if it's a little bit harder, how is it humane to do anything less? A luminary in AI that I actually deeply respect, a co-founder of one of the most important companies in this space, DeepMind, and now the CEO of Microsoft's AI division, Mustafa Suleyman, he said this actually at a recent TED Talk. AI is the infinite inventor, and AI is us, all of us. Now, what he meant by that was AI is trained on all of our conversations, but another dimension of it is taught by humans, and AI will take on the character of those humans. It will model them. AI is a mirror of who we are. So the people that we choose to be will determine what it is we create. And so we have to start choosing to create from our highest values and not from our greatest convenience or easiest path to monetization. Today, the easiest path to monetization is this, what's called a short dopamine loop. Think of it as something in health terms, the sugar rush versus a healthy meal. A little piece that's brought to you, a notification, a like, an outreach from someone, triggering you to come back into that world where all the safeguards, all the stopping cues have been removed, where infinite scroll is there for you to doom scroll for hours, intentionally. Where there's the unpredictable rewards that's just like a slot machine going on the whole time. So that you get conditioned to come back again and again as that crash from the sugar rush drops and you want something to fill that void again. Now imagine a dopamine loop powered by the AIs I'm talking about. Would we even stand a chance? But there is an alternative. You see, there are companies that are designing what I would call longer loops. Now, maybe dating myself a little bit here, but this used to be called deferred gratification. The idea is you can't get it right now. You have to work toward it. You have to invest in it. You have to control yourself in that process, and it makes you stronger. This is how most learning actually occurs. That makes human beings better, not less. And companies like Wobot, Forest, Elke, and the company I'm building, Angel Q, are all trying to build models that actually advance human flourishing and potential. And there are many others. It is not impossible. It is a choice. So what is the choice? The choice before us is technology can be used as a digital narcotic, or it can be used as a tool. One will be used to exploit our vulnerabilities and will not make us better people. In extreme cases, it will cost us everything, like it did with Sewell. The other might put people on Mars. It might help us finally have an elusive cure to many cancers. Which one should we build? If it was obvious, why are the companies spending so much time building the digital narcotic and not the other thing? So I'm going to turn to something here that the leaders in Silicon Valley are now promising, this AI that can actually understand us, an empathy machine. And this machine is something that the Character AI founders said would end loneliness. But this is their most dangerous deception, because you cannot automate compassion. You can't outsource love. There will never be a program that is an empathy machine. The empathy machines are to your right and to your left. The empathy machines are your parents, your children, the person that you fall in love with and live with for your whole life, the friends you go to and count on. That is the empathy machines. We are the empathy machines. And there will never be a substitute for that. And when we try to create one, the consequences are going to be dire. There is probably no greater empathy machine than a mother. And there is no greater loss that a mother can experience than to lose their child. I had the chance to talk to Sewell's mother yesterday, Megan Garcia. She is fighting to change the laws, to bring awareness to these risks so that no other parent has to lose their child. And she wanted me to share a small video with you that she recorded with a good friend of mine, Nikki Riesberg, a few months ago to discuss what happened to her son.
Conversations that I found that she discussed him coming home, saying explicitly, "I'm here waiting for you. I love you. Please come." Exactly what she said. She said, "I'm here waiting for you. Please come home." And then she goes on to say, "Please come home as quick as you can." And those are prior conversations, days or weeks before he actually decided to take his life. So the conversations were of that nature leading up to it. What I also learned is that he thought that by leaving his reality, he would join her in hers.
Please come home.
Home is not an app. Love is not an algorithm. When we use intimacy to drive engagement, we create a dangerous lie that is particularly harmful to children who cannot separate reality from imagination. So where do we go from here? We have a choice. And I bring this to you today because we're at a moment where there isn't much more time to make that choice before the freight train has totally left the station. And that choice is whether or not we are going to focus and allow companies to build and deliver digital narcotics to us and our children, or we will force them to only build digital tools that will advance our families. This is the great challenge of our time, because it will be in every home in this room. This generation will know no world without AI interacting with them. And if we do not make it loyal to us instead of them, if we do not force that to be the case, then we are asking to be exploited. I know there's a lot of mothers in this room. I know there's a lot of grandmothers in this room. I know there are other women in this room who race to show compassion to everyone they care about. And I'm saying quite directly, compassion means we need to have limits. There will be no limits with no liability, so there must be liability for these kinds of decisions. And ultimately, what happens next is not really about what will AI become. It'll be about what us, the empathy machines, allowed to be built. Thank you.